The survival genre continues to get more and more complicated. I'm Falcon, and today on gameranx, the top 10 survival games coming in 2017. Number 10 is Conan Exiles, an open world game that you'll start off getting rescued by Conan the Barbarian, and then essentially from there you'll have to survive in a prehistoric world. Now, it's important to note that this is a game that's had a lot of issues through its development. On top of server issues, there have been some pretty bad bugs that a lot of players have exploited in the PvP stuff, and this has been looked at as a majorly detrimental factor to the game, because most of the people who talk about this also say it has such huge potential. So when we look into the future at the full release of this game, we have to take that into account. If they're able to fix all of these things, the bugs, the server issues, it will obviously decrease the ability to take advantage of this stuff and grief players. Now, the world itself is very cool, and obviously there are a lot of Conan the Barbarian fans out there. So with a little luck, this will probably be a very good game when it actually comes out for full release. My fingers are crossed because frankly, I think it's a cool game. I like it myself, but I do see those problems. Number 9 is Kona, a narrative survival game, which is not something you see that often, though I do have to welcome it on account I love narratives. Now, I don't want to get too far into the story. You're a private eye that's stranded in the wilderness after a car accident and a freak blizzard, and you have to survive both the cold as well as wolves, while simultaneously progressing through the interactive story. Also, there just so happens to be a creature you'll probably want to look out for, and the combination of narrative as well as survival game mechanics really seems incredibly interesting to me. On top of that, it may also remind you of Firewatch a bit, and, well, let's just say Firewatch is great. I love me some Firewatch. It doesn't actually have a lot in common with that game, but in some ways it's just reminiscent of it. Number 8 is Rend, a faction-based survival game in which groups of players compete against each other as well as hordes of demons, searching for artifacts that will aid you in surviving an apocalyptic scenario. But while the base is survival, there's a lot more goals on top of that. It's in a lot of ways an RPG built on top of a survival game, as well as an MMORPG based on an ongoing war, and in some ways kind of a disaster feel goal at the end. I really like the mixing of genre that we see on display in this game, and the graphics and architecture are just plain cool. Number 7 is Subnautica, an underwater survival game, where you've crash landed on an alien world that is obviously underwater, and you'll have to explore a large variety of terrains such as volcanoes, cave systems, and an otherwise diverse array of incredibly beautiful environments. In almost every way, Subnautica is almost completely different than every other survival game you're going to play, in almost everything but its implementation of the mechanics. You have crafting, you have base building, but aside from the fact that the world itself is very alien and it's probably one of the only large-scale underwater survival games that truly works, it also has a very detailed and interesting set of lore for literally everything in the game. Number 6 is theHunter Call of the Wild, which isn't necessarily a traditional survival game in the sense, but it takes a lot of the same types of skill sets in order to complete what you're trying to do. In every respect, The Hunter is very much simulation. However, it takes place in a large open world, and your hunting of animals is, well, in a lot of respects very much exactly like a survival game. The only real difference is that there's no actual threat to the player. The mechanics, however, would probably actually be rather interesting to a survival game player, but the only kind of caveat is they probably have to be at least mildly interested in hunting. Number 5, ARK Survival Evolved takes place on a mysterious island called ARK that has its own distinct ecosystem, propped up by everybody's favorite thing, dinosaurs. And those dinosaurs are exactly what brings in some of the most interesting mechanics in the games, which is the dino training. Yes, there's crafting. Yes, there's farming. Yes, you can make a tribe and build a home. Yes, there's PvP, PvE, base building, and pretty much everything you can imagine in a survival game at this point. But truly, this is a survival game where you can train dinosaurs and use them as vehicles, weapons, pets, whatever. It doesn't matter. This game just absolutely kills it with the dinosaurs. A small caveat, you may want to invest in a private server. Hopefully there's going to be some things that are fixed during the course of the early access time and it releases in full form with a slightly more controlled community, so to speak. But the mechanics of this game, as long as they continue to evolve from this point, are just phenomenal. Number 4 is Fortnite, which is a co-op sandbox survival game with an emphasis on exploration, which you're going to have to do a lot of because the worlds in the game are generated randomly. It has a class-based combat system that gives you shotguns, sniper rifles, pistols, and short-range weapons like swords, and Tim Sweeney, the founder of Epic Games, describes it as Minecraft meets Left 4 Dead, which is a pretty compelling combination if you ask me. If it can actually incorporate all of the sandbox elements of Minecraft with the pace and the actually enjoyable combat of Left 4 Dead, I can say I think this will probably be a massive hit. Number 3 is PlayerUnknown's, which comes from the pioneer of the Battle Royale genre, with this being probably the most pure expression of the idea as of yet. If you've ever seen the foreign film Battle Royale, it's that. If you've ever seen The Hunger Games, it's that as a game. You arrive on an island entirely unarmed and have to both survive as well as arm yourself and be the last one standing out of many other players. It is a survival deathmatch, and I am so excited for it in all seriousness. This is something that I've wished for in video games for decades at this point. Number 2 is Worlds Adrift, which is a physics-based sandbox survival game where you'll have to work, where you're really just set forth in a world and told, yeah, make your own adventure. On top of being gorgeous, this game is very cool in that you'll survive, build, battle, explore, and generally end up with a completely unique experience. It does go a little bit beyond the scope of a survival game, but I think probably in a good way. And finally, number 1 is State of Decay 2, which is essentially the granddaddy, the big one, the one we're all expecting to be, well, a huge improvement from State of Decay 1, which was itself a landmark game in the genre. The game works to build on a more group-oriented mechanic and force you to forge communities in the zombie apocalypse. Now, the safety in numbers approach is probably a good idea, considering real life would probably be more like that, instead of just hanging out as an individual like, I wonder if I could withstand a big zombie attack. It's exciting because State of Decay was a really good game. Couple of bonus games for you. The first is PAMELA, a first-person open-world science fiction survival horror game. It really gets that utopia gone wrong right, and is a lot of fun too. Wild is a PS4 exclusive. It's a procedurally generated, infinitely sized world set in the Neolithic period, and you have to survive in it. And finally, Escape from Tarkov is a game we've covered before. It's a very cool, massively multiplayer online combat simulator with a lot of survival elements, and it's very ambitious. Frankly, it looks amazing. Which survival game are you looking forward to the most this year? Leave us a comment, tell us what you think, and if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. What would be a great idea for you is to subscribe, because we upload brand new videos just like this every single day, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this one. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.